Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Stand Up Guys podcast, episode 45. Man, we're creeping up on episode 50 like an Apache. Coming soon.
1 year.
I know it's pretty amazing, actually, if you think about it. It's
kind of scary.
Time's going fast. Maybe talking to your mic.
Kind of scary that we're coming up on a year.
All right, joining me as always, and not talking into his microphone, even though he's had a year of practice at this almost, is the Frasier crane to my Niles crane, Lester Jones.
Oh, I get to be Frasier.
Well, you know, I was going to make myself Frasier, but then I'm like, well, Niles at least ended up with a chick on that show, right?
But
what was it, his ex-wife?
Oh, he ended up with Daphne later.
Oh, did he?
The British lady, right?
Daphne?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, yeah, he got Daphne. I'm going to go with Niles.
How was Frasier's sex life? I don't remember.
I have no idea.
I mean, he's on the radio.
Did he ever get with Roz? Or was
No,
he
I
just
think
a
she was
friend?
married or something.
I never really watched that show. I know some people love it. I just never got into it. And of course, rounding out the panel, we got the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, living in sin and pushing that shit in. The pussy juice sipping, just the tipping, passing out dick like bullets from John Wick. The phenomenal A.J. Singh.
Hello, everyone.
We got a new one this week.
Yeah.
I've actually done that one once before.
Did you? I don't remember that
Just once, which means I have to write a new one.
He does a good job mixing them up.
You'll use that one time, maybe?
Yeah.
I didn't remember it.
Now, AJ, you're of course, famous for eating the old chocolate Cheerio,
Oh, God.
the old balloon knot. But we just actually came from Walgreens. We got our
I was
second.
like, this is a terrible lead.
We got our second vaccinations, which means, ladies, we're all set as well. If you've been holding off getting your ass eaten this whole pandemic because you're afraid, we're fully vaccinated now. Ready to go.
Oh, boy.
But we might be sick tomorrow.
Yeah, we might have to take tomorrow. But after that, we're good. All right, guys, what do you guys do this week? Anything fun? I just worked and worked and worked.
I watched Adventure Time on HBO. They had some new movies of it.
Really?
Of each person. So they had one for Finn and Jake, and they had one for Marceline, and they had one for BMO. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. It was good.
I might check it out. I used to watch Adventure Time.
I gotta say, he loves that show. Like, I watched maybe a couple episodes, and I was just like, I don't get it. Like, do you have to be stoned to enjoy this show?
No.
It's a buddy flick, man.
But it wasn't making me laugh that much either. And I'm like, I don't know.
It's just kind of out there. It's fun, quirky.
I don't know.
It's
It
just a
wasn't.
romp.
I didn't find it romping. So besides that, what you watch anything this week?
I probably did, but not good enough to.
Oh, tell the people about your. You had some run-ins with some crackheads this week
Man.
or something.
Oh.
Been super hot this week, and for some reason that they came out of the woodwork. But yeah, meth head, crackhead, and then some dude messed up. But yeah, so he started the meth head, and he was so messed up, and he lost his pants and pretty much a bunch of shit somewhere along the way. And then he's out there, he's running in and out of traffic, in and out and in and out. We're just dude, just don't go on the road, just chill out, don't go on the road. But eventually we called a wellness check on him, and the police came, and they ended up taking that guy to the hospital, and just whatever they do, with people who are all messed up. And then, the very next day, this guy, I think he must have been probably on, crack or something, because he was, he had the energy, but he's also very angry, and he was just, yelling and screaming at everybody, fuck you, kicking at people walking down the street and shit. And, eventually he walked off into the sunset. But we called the police on him, too. They just never showed up.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And then, the next day, there was, a guy he looked kind of messed up and homeless. His shirt was off, but he was he's in our parking garage, which you have to have a card to get in there. So it was kind of weird. It's like, what's this guy doing in here? Because he's sitting in this parked car, kind of like sleeping, the shirt off. I'm like, it's it just doesn't seem right. And so I thought, well, maybe like he drove in at some point or whatever. But I go up and knock on the window, and he opens the door, and he's got like this big goose egg on his head where I'm guessing someone like hit him or something. But there's like blood down his nose and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, just give me 5 more minutes, man. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. So I go and I come back. I was like, okay, you gotta go. And then he's acting like he lost his keys, and like he doesn't have a shirt or clothes on. He's like, oh, I was over at the mall. I must have dropped it somewhere. And like he kind of like shambles off after telling this story. But it's like he must have just like wandered in and just like tried doors until he got like an open door, and then he just like all messed up and like trying to sleep in somebody's car. Yeah. Can you imagine just coming out of work and there's just some like dude just like knocked out in your car, all beat up and shit?
I'd be freaked out, man.
Like, speaking of getting messed up, I know you saw this because I saw you like retweet it, and I saw other people as well. Did you guys see that clip online of like there was this fight in I don't know if it was a Walmart or whatever, and I don't know what the story behind it was, but like it starts out with this guy like pushing his cart into someone, like knocking him into, it looked like an employee, like into like an
end cap or something.
Something like that. And then like that person like goes off, but then the pissed off like employee like comes up and like punches the person in like the back of the head or whatever, just like knocks him out cold.
Yeah, he came up from behind him, so I'm kind of thinking he must just like hit him in the neck or something, because he went down like a sack of shit.
Yeah, he went down,
and he wasn't even remotely expecting. He's like, I fucked with this dude, like I spit in his face, and like I'm walking away. Well, at first I wasn't sure if it was I thought it was a woman.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. I didn't look real close.
Yeah, I was having trouble telling.
So this guy like messes with a Walmart employee, and
yeah, he's like fucking with him, like running a cart into him and like smashing him against the wall, and then like he like spit at him, and the guy's going for him, and like another employee grabs him, and so he's like holding him back or whatever, and the other guy's just like nonchalantly walking off after that, and he gets loose and he just comes up and drops him.
Well, I guess he had it coming.
I was like, man, if you're working in retail, this guy's like your fucking hero, or this woman or whoever. It's like, good for fucking you, man.
They probably got fired though.
Yeah, probably promptly fired.
Yeah, I don't even know what started, if it was like a mask thing or what the hell it was, but didn't end well for that guy. I can tell you that for sure.
Son of a bitch, though.
As far as TV, I've just been watching. I haven't had time to watch a bunch this week, but I've watched more of The Expanse. Still enjoying it, so I will continue along.
Yeah, I was rewatching some Samurai Jack. I haven't really watched anything new.
Yeah, I've been going back and watching Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I need to catch up on Rick and Morty as well. If I ever finish The Expanse, I'll go back to Rick and Morty. Well, all right. Should we get this show?
I saw the first season of Sweet Tooth came out on Netflix.
Oh, did it?
So I might give that a shot. It was a good comic.
I'll see what the reviews are like, and then if they're good, maybe I'll check it out.
And I will say this: I'm fairly certain there were a number of plot points stolen from Sweet Tooth that went into what was that? No, I'm fucking forgetting. The Last of Us. Like they recycled some plot points and put it in that game.
You think so?
I'm almost certain. There were some close sequences.
Because I don't know what the timeline was of like when Sweet Tooth came out, and then because I think The Last of Us came out in like 2013. I want to say.
I don't remember. It was really good. I might replay it sometime. Or I might play the new one that everybody hates but has like a good critic score.
I will play it eventually, but like I figured they'll remake it like for PS5, and eventually, hopefully I'll be able to get a PS5. Although I read an article like a couple of weeks ago that says like PS5s might be hard to come by until 2022.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Like, there's a shortage on the cards because of like miners or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of the crypto miners or what, but yeah, apparently there's a chip shortage.
Huh.
And it's causing them.
It's crazy to think that a company that size wouldn't have like a better supply chain ironed out.
Yeah, you kind of would think they would.
Like they would have locked in some contract.
Because I don't think Xbox is having that problem.
Right.
Well, all right. Should we get on with the main show here? See if we can find some fun stories to talk about. As tradition dictates, AJ, we'll start with you.
All right, I had to correct something I said earlier. I said that Lisa Sparks slept with 1,000 people in 24 hours. She slept with 919 people in 12 hours. And somebody did the math. They said that was like 45 seconds a person.
Yeah. So basically, you step up to the plate and
Yeah. I guess you got to already be going before
yeah, you got to be like at 99% before they wave you in.
Like, geez, it's been 30 seconds, man. You're taking forever. Yeah. We got a marathon man here. But yeah, I just want to touch on that. But so yeah, my main topic is a man jokes that he didn't get a job after losing control of bodily functions in an interview. The man, who has shared his story anonymously, said he had been looking forward to the interview and had thought the job sounded fun, so he was excited on the day of the question.
It wasn't porn star, was it?
I know, right? Bodily function. He nailed it then. The interview started informally, and he was talking to an assistant manager before moving into the manager's office when all of a sudden he started feeling unwell. Out of nowhere, the man threw up in his face mask, and it quickly spilled out of his mask and down his pristine shirt. Sharing his story on Reddit, the man said, "The interview started, and I feel like things are going rather well, as the pair are responding well to my answers, and I feel confident in my responses. We get partway down the second page of the interview sheet, about halfway, and I burp. It was not a burp. All of a sudden, sick fills my mouth. My hand instinctively slaps it so it can stop any from coming out. Vomit erupts from my mouth and spews down my shirt and onto the interviewer's desk. As I stop being sick, I just say, I'm not getting the job, am I? But the two members of staff are just scrambling to find some paper towels as my face mask waterboards me with my own vomit. The man said that he hadn't stopped laughing since the interview, which was at a local shop, and even at the time he tried to make light of the situation. He continued, and I and the assistant manager are finishing up clearing as much of the floor and desk as possible, and I just look at her and the manager and say, well, I bet this is a first for everyone. Assistant manager starts laughing while trying to stop herself, and I can't help but smile like an idiot. The manager escorts me out and says she will call me to finish the interview another day, and keeps saying she hopes I don't have to go far, and other things, while clearly trying to think of anything but being sick. I leave and walk over to my car and unbutton my vomit-drenched shirt, and I can't help but laugh hysterically. I drive home, and I'm laughing and smiling the whole ride while stinking and feeling kind of gross. Once I'm home, I tell my housemates how and show them my shirt while unable to control my laughter.
See, I wouldn't be laughing. I would just be like horrified and pissed off that it happened to me.
Yeah, I'd be pretty upset with myself. I mean, how do you get a burp to that? Like, that's
Just a little verp.
I've never had a burp like that.
I've had that where just like a little bit comes up. Like,
Yeah, I think we all do that
you're
from
like,
time to time.
you try to swallow it back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've even had that, like, burning one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I never
Nasty.
had this. Oh man, I've had nightmares of like farting during an interview, you know, stuff like that. Like,
I was in a bar once, and like, I was surrounded by people, and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to make it, and I was like, I puked in my hand. That was a bad one.
oh man, we were one time on in New Orleans, on Bourbon Street. I was holding like a hurricane, and it was still full. And I was just like, I bent over and threw up on the street.
I definitely street puked before, where I was just like,
Yeah,
take a few steps,
yeah.
just walk away.
And it's so normal, you know. People don't. They're like,
They're like, oh, that guy's puking.
yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, that would be a bad time. Or like, what if you get struck with like where you're like really bad diarrhea, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna shit myself if this guy doesn't stop talking.
I know.
Man.
I never been in that.
Yeah,
situation.
I never gave myself a good shitting in public.
Yeah, no.
You don't want to say that too often.
Yeah.
But yeah, the old sphincter is still you can have an emergency, but it still holds tight so far.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had situations where like you hold the sphincter, but the rest of it's just like it's gonna burst.
Right, you don't trust it. This isn't gonna happen.
You ever hold a shit like where like you really have to go? You're holding it, and it actually makes you like physically sweat.
Where you can't even walk, right? Oh man, another drinky one. I drank a bunch of these like soju slushies, so it was like soju and like red slushies, and like I was all hungover the next day. I got out of the toilet and I just shit like blood, and it was just like the whole toilet was red and covered in blood. I was like, I'm fucking dying, and it was just like soju dye.
Oh man!
But I was sure I was like shitting out like sheets of blood.
Man, I've had different times in my life where I actually took bloody shits. Where the whole toilet was red and it was blood, and that's scary.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm fucking dying.
Yeah,
I'm fucking dying over here. Someone's banging to get in.
I think I probably just had my blood too thin or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, not good. Man, speaking of like almost shitting your pants, I remember one time, this was in college when we were in Bozeman, and you actually made fun of me because like I used to like frequently, because in the morning in the cafeteria they always had like either French toast or pancakes, and like I stopped eating the pancakes because like one day I
had one bad
like sometimes they do me dirty, like even to this day sometimes they will, but I ate some, and then like my first morning class, like I barely made it through that class, like I was like sweating like I was talking about
like any normal person, but like I got it.
I should have. But anyway, I got out of there, went to the bathroom, and I took like the worst shit ever. And it was like green, and it like smelled awful. It was like the worst. Like I felt sorry for the other people that were coming in that bathroom because it was fucking bad. All right, enough brown talk for now. We'll slide on to Manifesto Round 1.
So this one's like super short. It doesn't even have that many details, but you have to do it just because of the headline. In Florida, a woman named Crystal Methany.
Crystal
Stage name.
Methany.
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 Yeah.
Whose last name is Methany?
Yeah.
It's a terrible last name, but if you do have that last name, why are you going to name your kid Crystal?
Yeah. You must really love that stuff.
Crystal Methany. But arrested for, it says shooting an offensive missile into a vehicle, but I'm kind of wondering if that just means like a rocker or something.
Like a dildo.
But yeah, so went to jail for that one.
Huh.
Crystal Methany.
Crystal Methany thing. Yeah, that's Florida for you.
And that one checked out. It was actually on the HuffPost still.
So Crystal Methany is a legit name. Wow. I mean, yeah. Her parents like had to have been going for that, right?
Right.
There's no other explanation.
Yeah.
It would be funny though if they never heard it called crystal meth.
What's crystal meth? They're like super religious or something, and they're like way out of touch.
Yeah.
Crystal Methany, come here.
I was homeschooled.
Crystal Angel Dust Methany.
She's the dust of the angels.
Okay, so for my topic, this article, it's a little long, but I found it interesting. So basically it's an article about like some kind of weird funeral traditions they have in different places. So I figured I'd go through these and see what you guys think. They say to respect the dead, but that respect can look pretty weird sometimes. The unfortunate fact of life is that eventually it ends. When it does, it becomes necessary to dispose of the earthly remains of the dearly departed.
We like to fuck them into the earth.
It's unconventional. Over human history, we've come up with various and increasingly creative ways to conduct funerals. In a bit of continuation to our earlier list of weddings, apparently they're linking other stuff they did here. Let's now explore some of the more strange and unusual funeral traditions from around the world. Number 1. Oh, God, I don't know how to pronounce this. Famadihana. The Famadihana, or turning of the bones ceremony of the Malagasy people in Madagascar, isn't a funeral per se. However, it involves the dead bodies of your loved ones, so we're starting the list off with it. Every few years, the Malagasy exhume what remains of the corpses of their ancestors and relatives. And my stupid phone on this website always has to reset. Okay. Every few years, the Malagasy exhume what remains of the corpses of their ancestors and relatives. They wrap the remains in clean cloth and rewrite their names on the bundle. Then it's time to lift the corpse up and dance to raucous music while parading the dead body around its tomb. When the ceremony ends, the corpse is reburied to wait for the next Famadihana. The ceremony isn't intended to desecrate the body. Instead, it celebrates the life of the deceased. It's important because it's our way of respecting the dead. It's also a chance for the whole family from across the country to come together, a Malagasy man called Jean-Pierre says. Clearly, the Malagasy don't want their ancestors getting bored in their graves. Now, that one, it sounds kind of cool, but also it sounds like a lot of work. You actually have to, like, dig up the grave, get their bones out of there, clean their bones. But then you have a party, I guess, which sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Would you guys want to participate in something like that? Or does it just seem like too much work?
I don't know. Maybe the work makes you, like, respect more. Like, you're like... You're putting in the work. You're showing some like actual effort.
Yeah,
that's true.
Plus, while you're doing it, you can like tell the stories and do whatever. So
yeah, and you're paying respect the whole time because you're like digging them up so you can show them, the party and
one last party, one more party.
Yeah,
and it's like like they're keeping my bones clean.
Yeah,
get some clean bones.
It's Do you think they bury people like 6 feet under like they do here? Because that seems like it just... Or do you think they're actually like, they get a backhoe for this event? Like, I don't know. That's the part I kind of wonder about.
Yeah.
I'd probably do crypt keeping if I had to do that every
year. Okay, number 2. Oh, God. This website sucks. At least on my phone. Number 2 is called Hanging Coffins. After a person is laid to rest in their coffin, the box then usually goes into the ground or somewhere else out of sight. Not so in some parts of Indonesia, the Philippines, and China. Instead, the people of the regions will hang the coffins on steep cliffs or hill faces. There, the coffins will remain in plain sight. There's a couple of reasons for the cliffside graveyards. The first is simply to keep the corpses out of reach of both animals and potential grave robbers. On the other hand, the practice is usually reserved for the most distinguished and respected members of the community. It's a way to commemorate the dead. If their coffin is hanging from a cliff, they were kind of a big deal. In some places, the people also believe that it's easier for the dead to pass into the afterlife if they're higher up from the ground, as long as there's no sudden landslide to bring them crashing down. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, it seems like you're just begging.
Then you just get buried under rocks. Right?
I guess. It seems like you're just begging for the coffin to fall off the cliff down below.
I'd be interested to see some pictures of that. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
I know there was like...
I wish this article had pictures of it, but they don't.
I believe there's some Native Americans that would put their dead up in trees. So that's kind of interesting.
And just let them rot in the tree.
I don't know I don't remember all the details.
Number 3 is called smoked mummies. The Anga people of Papua New Guinea mummify their dead. You might be thinking of the famous Egyptian mummies, but that's not quite what this is all about. When a person dies, the Anga will place the corpse in a contraption that resembles something between a chair and a cage. Then they take the whole thing into a hut where the body is smoked for at least 30 days. Yes, smoked, like you would smoke salmon. At the end of the process, the corpse is bone dry and highly resistant to decomposition. The Anga then hang the cage with the body in it from a high cliff, much like with the hanging coffins. And just like with them, the hanging of the mummy is a sign of respect and reverence towards the departed. The ritual is rarely practiced today, but many mummies from the days gone by still hang by Anga villages.
Huh, that's interesting.
Do you think like at points where they're smoking them, they're like, "That smells pretty good. Might have to try some."
It reminds me of that Futurama where he has like the mummified like Changus the Great or the 19th or whatever. And he's like, "I was going to eat that mummy. This is an outrage."
Next is sky burial. In some parts of the Tiber and Mongolia, we find the tradition of sky burials. No, they don't load their dead into rockets or catapults and fling them up to the sky, but that would be pretty cool. That's how I want to go.
Catapult.
Instead, the remains of the dead are taken apart. That's to say the corpse is chopped up. Then the parts of the body are taken to a tall, barren mountaintop and left there. Vultures and other animals will come and pick the bones clean, naturally disposing of the body. The Buddhist tradition of these areas teach that a person's spirit leaves the body immediately at the moment of death. What's left behind is nothing but an empty vessel made of dead meat. Feeding the body to animals is also seen as the person's last gesture of goodwill on earth. Allowing animals to eat the body is regarded as a charitable donation towards a greater circle of life. There's also a practical element to sky burials. The ground in the Tibetan mountains is often too hard to dig, and wood and fuel are scarce. Sky burials are therefore an economic way to dispose of the dead. So that one's not too fancy. Just chop them up and throw them up on a mountain.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of thought, like, you know, we kind of waste our dead by burning them and burying them. Like, you could just, like, throw us in a grinder and feed us to dogs or something. You know.
Check this on your driver's license if you'd like to be dog meat.
Your family will have to consent at the time of your death. It's what he wanted. It's what he wanted.
The next one is called fantasy coffins. The Ghanaian funeral ceremony doesn't really differ from any other Christian funeral. It's the coffin itself that's strange. It's become a recent tradition in Ghana to bury the dead in an elaborate coffin that represents their lives. A fisherman might get buried in a fish or boat-shaped coffin, while a rich businessman might get to take a trip 6 feet under in a look-alike of the latest BMW model. The fantasy coffin tradition started some 60 years ago. It was promoted originally by carpenters around the city of Accra, but it quickly spread through the country. Now, I kind of like the idea of this one, but I feel like if you get too fancy, like, then grave robbers are just going to go, pilfer your coffin or something.
Like, they're going to try to get, like, a wooden BMW and do what with it?
Well, it depends what, like, some people might, like, have jewels or something on it and get really fancy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty elaborate there.
What would your fantasy coffin be?
Fantasy coffin.
I was thinking mine could be like Batman themed, and like I'm buried in like a really cool like Batman outfit, and then instead and like basically the regular coffin part goes up to my neck, and then there's the extension with the bat ears.
So basically, it's like Tutankhamun, but you got the face exposed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Terrible idea. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I'm like super passionate about that I think I should just like take with me to the grave.
You like chess?
I'm a little bit more like those guys just chop me up and put me out for the vultures, man.
You could have like a chess themed coffin.
I remember seeing one where like you know how Kiss has like
the
marketed
Kiskets or whatever.
Yeah, you can get a Kissket.
I don't know if that's what they call them.
I don't know.
I wouldn't have a perfect burial.
Yeah, I have no interest in like trying to take anything with me, or it's like we're all going to be forgotten. It's like it just doesn't matter, you know.
That's true. Like the only people that are really remembered are like famous people.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the idea where they have a party or something.
Yeah. So far, like the bone party sounds like the coolest one.
Yeah, the bone party where they dig you up and party with you a few times.
Okay, the last one here is called skull burial. It's always nice to have a memento of the loved ones who passed on. The residents of the island nation of Kiribati take the idea one step further, though. Once a person has died, their relatives will lay out the body in their home. The body lies in state for up to 12 days, depending on how important the person is. Oh, that guy wasn't important. Just one day for him.
It's been a couple of days, yeah, but you know, he was an ass.
After the display period is over, the body is buried. Nothing too weird here so far. After a few months, though, the relatives of the deceased will return to the grave. They dig up the body, decapitate it, and take the skull home. It seems like they should have just decapitated it before they buried the rest of it. Save them some work. The skull receives a thorough cleaning and polishing before going to its final resting place on display in the relative's home. According to local beliefs, preserving the skulls make it possible for spirits of the dead to join the native god Naka. Suppose it's also nice to have your grandmother always watching over you, even if it's just her skull on a shelf. That was a little weird, but
I kind of like it.
I would be okay with it, I guess.
I feel like it would help normalize death. Like you grow up around it, you'd be around it, you'd see it, you'd be like, oh, that's what death is.
I will say, like this one, the Bone Party one, and just like the Mexican Day of the Death shows it, like they do treat death a little differently than we do. They kind of celebrate it.
Yeah, whereas we just kind of hide it.
We just kind of hide it and fear it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess everybody fears it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's more of a taboo. I don't know if it's a taboo, but we
have like an unhealthy kind of view of...
Yeah. So,
yeah, I've been watching, like, I guess it's kind of like an adjacent, but I've been watching, like, these DMT stories this week. And, like, people talk about how, like, it's ego death or whatever, but, like, you kind of feel like you've died. And, like, people come out of it like they're not afraid of death anymore. I was like, that's kind of I don't know. It's kind of a strange...
Yeah, that goes against your instinct to survive.
Right. But, I mean, basically, once you've taken it, you don't have a choice but to go through it. And, like, people... people are still, like, they're scared and stuff as they go through it. But you basically go through it and then, like, you come back. So, I don't know. It's just kind of... But, like, a lot of people are just, like, they're not scared of death after that. Because they feel like they've already died.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm far too big of a pussy to try any drugs, let alone, like, DMT that makes you, like, shut down or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't try that one.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be, like, the starting point. I'd be interested in trying, like, maybe LSD or mushrooms or something.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I mean, I think LSD is pretty strong, too, right?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe shrooms.
Like, it depends how much you take, like anything, I'm sure. But, like, I think LSD, like, lasts a long time. Like, you're gonna take it, like, if you take it in the morning, you're gonna be, like, up all day. Like, it's a stimulant.
All right, AJ, we'll go to your second story of the week.
All right. A woman has heart attack after trying dangerous TikTok trend. The dry scoop challenge is sweeping across the social media platform, but it could be incredibly dangerous if Brittany Portillo's story is anything to go by. In April, the student ingested a mouthful of pre-workout protein powder without diluting it with water for an energy boost. Sweating profusely before she'd even started, Brittany decided to press on with her weight session, but things began to get more serious. She said, "I started weightlifting and my chest felt slightly heavy and hurting a bit. I ignored it because I assumed it was anxiety or a panic attack and continued with my workout. I went home and felt nauseous and had a headache. I took a shower but felt nauseous with a headache and still couldn't eat dinner. I still decided to work out, but at work the symptoms of heavy chest and chest pain came back, but more intense. In the locker room, I was sweating profusely again, and my head was hurting. The pain went to my back and my left arm. That's when I knew it wasn't an anxiety attack, maybe it was a heart attack. CT scans revealed she had suffered a small heart attack and was told by doctors she had sensitivity to caffeine she'd previously been unaware of. Her video recounting the frightening experience has been viewed over 2.3 million times and attracted 335,000 likes. She warned her followers, "I would advise everyone to know their caffeine tolerance and just to mix it with water. Don't do dry scooping just because it's trending online." She's fully recovered. But I mean, I didn't do that cinnamon challenge. I didn't eat a Tide Pod. I mean,
you want to?
No, this is stupid.
Yeah, but we're going to get so many likes.
She got 335,000 likes.
You didn't drink bleach to kill the coronavirus?
To kill the coronavirus, yeah. And they did something recently in India, too. I don't know. I forgot what it was.
It wasn't the drinking the cow pee.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. I saw a video. This dude's like, oh. Like, and then he was like smiling. Was like,
that's the one.
This is a hardcore son of a bitch if he lives.
I mean, what's your survival instinct like if you just do these stupid things that people are doing? I mean, I don't even drink too much caffeine because I know it's bad for me.
It's like Napoleon Dynamite in the onion patch.
Man, a couple years ago when I was lifting weights, I tried some of that protein powder. I was taking it for a while, but it always made me feel shitty.
Yeah.
So I stopped taking it. Maybe that's what it was too much caffeine. I
don't know.
I wasn't eating it dry.
Yeah.
A lot of them have artificial sweeteners, which was giving me headaches. Like I eventually found a brand that wasn't, but now that I'm on like the low carb stuff, most of it has carbs in it anyway. So, so yeah, stay away from carbs and artificial sugars.
So yeah, kids, don't do the what was it called, the
Dry scooping.
Yeah.
dry scoop.
Oh my gosh.
I thought maybe just people, when you first said that, I thought maybe they switched from Tide Pods to just like the powder Tide or whatever.
Those pods are dangerous.
Alrighty, are we ready for Manifesto Round 2?
All right, I think we talked a little bit before about how like some states were doing a lottery if you did your COVID shots or whatever. Well, West Virginia decided to take it up a notch. You have a chance to win guns, trucks, and cash.
How
The
come we
classic
don't get a
trio.
chance to win something? We just got ours. We don't get.
Know.
We
Well,
don't.
this is Oregon. It'd probably be like, yeah,
You're just shunned from society if you don't get it.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
They're giving hookers and blow too? Jeez.
Free dates with the tranny. I shouldn't say that.
Hey, that might be a good way to get Republicans to take the shot, though. Like, oh, you get a chance to win guns.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like they're supposed to be the ones that are against this socialist crap. It's like, wait, what if we throw in some guns and trucks? We're oh yes, comrade.
Yeah, that's true.
That's some socialism we can get behind.
I didn't understand how this was working.
Was that it on that one?
Yeah, that's good enough.
Well, speaking of socialism, let's move to a communist country. China launches 3-child policy to stop its population decline. Whether China's one-child generation couples want to have any children, however, is unclear. China announced on Monday that married Chinese couples can have up to 3 children in a dramatic change from the previous maximum of 2, following recent data showing a steep decline in birth rates, Reuters reports. China has the world's most populous country title with a population of 1.412 billion per the national census held at the end of the last year. The country had enacted a one-child policy starting from the early 1980s because its population growth rate at the time was regarded as too high, and it sought to avoid a population explosion. However, when the population began to decline, the government attempted to reverse the trend by allowing those who were from one-child couples to have 2 children of their own in 2013. The limit was raised to 2 children for everyone 2 years later. According to CNBC, this did not result in a sustained increase in births since the cost of raising children in China stopped many couples from having kids. This month was critical because China's National Bureau of Statistics was set to issue a census. The findings revealed that the population growth dropped to its slowest rate since the 1950s in the last decade. According to the data, the fertility rate for 2020 was 1.3 children per woman, which is comparable to aging societies like Japan and Italy. The most recent announcement, which aims to reverse this downward trend, has been greeted with happiness by some, while a cultural shift and economic hardships have led many people to not wanting children. Many individuals also think that the news will have little impact on China's demographic patterns, according to the New York Times. The decision makers have probably realized that the population situation is relatively severe. He Yafu, an independent demographer based in southern Chinese city of Zhangjiang, told NYT. But merely opening up the policy to 3 children and not encouraging births as a whole, I don't think there will be significant increase in the fertility rate. Many people don't want to have a second child, let alone a third child. China has also indicated it will seek to implement broader adjustments such as increasing maternity leave to make it simpler and more convenient for couples to have more children. According to a 2019 UN report, India's population is predicted to grow by about 273 million people between now and 2050, overtaking China as the world's most populated country by 2027. However, because of the continuing drop in birth rates, some Chinese demographers believe this may happen sooner than the UN's forecast. It will take time to see if China's new policies are effective. So yeah, I just thought that was, weird because of course they were famous for having the one-child rule for so long. Then apparently they went to 2, and now they're like, oh shit, we're declining, so we got to go to 3.
Yeah, I read an article a little while back that talked about how their economy is really hurting because like they had so many people that were working age in the 90s and maybe early 2000s. They're all getting retired, and these young people now, they have to support these older generations as well as their own children. So that's also causing them to not want to have 3 children. But yeah, it's kind of hurt their, like, the best part of their economy was their population. So it's going down a little bit, and it's going to start hurting them a little. But, I mean, China at least knew how to use their population. With India getting, like, the most populous country, I don't know, like, they don't have the infrastructure, the manufacturing capabilities to, like, really take advantage of having such a big population. China did a good job with it.
I know another, like, problem they had, I saw, like, years ago is, like, because they had the one-child rule for so long, like, of course, more people over there would keep male children because they were more help, farming or, what have you. And so now that generation grew up and they have trouble, finding mates because it's just so many more guys than there are girls, Yeah. So that became an issue as well.
Yeah. A lot of, I think Chinese guys are going to like Pakistan and Russia for wives.
Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got to go somewhere, I guess. Yeah,
wherever there's a surplus of women.
Yeah, it says 51.24% are male, so it's still fairly even, but you figure a population that size is still a lot of people.
Oh, I figured it would be even more unbalanced than that, because that seems like pretty balanced.
Well, if you assume like the older generation was balanced, then maybe it's not that much. I don't know.
All right. Well, that was my story. So, AJ, I'll swing it around to you again.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Here we go. If this story pulls up, we'll read it. And if it doesn't, we'll read this one. Okay, we'll just go with this one. All right. Let's see. Prosecutor and attorney reprimanded for banishment scheme in Omaha, Nebraska. A prosecutor and a defense attorney in Nebraska have been reprimanded for a scheme reminiscent of the Wild West, in which they told 2 convicted criminals to get out of town and never return. On Friday, the Nebraska Supreme Court issued public reprimands for Custer County Attorney Stephen Bowers and Broken Bow defense attorney Christopher Wickham for carrying out the banishment plan. The High Court said Bowers and Wickham violated rules of professional conduct and their oaths as attorneys. Under the plan brokered by Wickham and Bowers, the defense attorney advised his clients who had been charged with felonies to plead guilty, then flee the state before sentencing, with the understanding that they would not return. Bowers, the prosecutor, agreed that if the men skipped out of their sentencing hearings and left the state, he would direct the county sheriff to not seek extradition to have them returned to Custer County, the High Court said. Wickham and Bowers also schemed to seek a low bail for the men so they could be freed before the sentencing hearings. The court's reprimand orders don't reveal the names of the men who were charged, what charges they pleaded to, or when the scheme was carried out. In the reprimand order against Bowers, the High Court said at least one of the men fled Custer County before a sentencing hearing and was later arrested about 200 miles away near Omaha. Bowers did not seek to extradite the man to Custer County, and he was released from custody. The court did not say what happened to the other man. So basically, these guys, they did that whole thing where, like, get out of town, don't come back, and you're fine. which is like the best punishment if you were in Omaha, Nebraska.
Win-win.
Yeah.
No, don't make me leave.
Yeah, I can't stay in Omaha.
They take you to the border, and you're just like banished to the corn lands.
You have to walk out of here. That's your real punishment.
You have to go to Kansas now. Like, no, not Kansas.
You walk out of Omaha, it's just like, welcome to America. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I remember seeing an interview with a guy that was like, he was talking about when he was a kid and he like moved from Florida to the other state, but he's like, yeah, when I was such and such an age, I immigrated from Florida to America. That story you told, though, kind of reminded me of that story from last week where like that cult, like people got sick of him in Hawaii, and so they just like followed him to the airport and like watched him go away and was like, "Don't come back."
Maybe that is the way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, depending on what the crime is, like maybe that's the best thing is just banishment.
Yeah.
All right, manifesto round 3, moving right along.
Well, we talked a little bit before about nuclear reactors and how I kind of thought that they're probably like going to be like the salvation of the future as far as energy goes. But Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have announced that they're going to be building a new type of nuclear reactor in Wyoming. And they'll probably announce the site before the end of the year.
I don't know. I mean, you expect them to have like the top minds involved with this, but I mean, the government, you feel like, should have more control of this stuff.
Well, I'm sure they have regulations regarding the materials, and there'll be. I'm sure there are a number of regulations in place, but as far as implementing a new design and stuff, because Berkshire Hathaway owns a chunk of the company that I'm contracted with, Pacific Power, and they provide power to like 6 of the Northwest states. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of exciting.
So does it mention like what the new design's supposed to do? Is it just supposed to increase efficiency? Is it supposed to be safer? Like what's the
big aspects of newer designs are safety. Basically, there's no like human components. Everything's regulated by computers, and they have automated shutoffs. So, you know, you don't have like a Homer Simpson in there. And yeah, so a lot more computer run and probably just a lot safer in general.
And if it blows up, I mean, it's just Wyoming.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they strategically picked a place where, you know, you don't get hurricanes, you don't get tornadoes, you don't get a bunch of earthquakes. Like,
yeah,
there's the low population density.
We're gonna find out we had a large contingent of listeners in Wyoming. They just like turned off.
But yeah. I mean, strategically, it seems like a good place. But I mean, as long as it's successful, I'd see them popping up in a lot of places. Probably is the eventual plan.
I mean, the thing of it is like nuclear power plants are relatively safe, but when something does happen, like it's really fucking bad, and like that has happened. Like you got Chernobyl, you got the 3 Mile Island, you got the one in Japan that fell into the sea.
But still, like coal plants have killed way more people than those. So
probably.
I mean, but no, it does sound like the next generation of machines is supposed to be much, much better. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really think there's been like the advances in like solar panels or turbines or anything that's going to be nearly as efficient as nuclear energy.
I do like wonder because you see like, you know, those places with a lot of wind turbines. Like I wonder how much they do generate.
I mean, I'm sure they do generate, but at the same time, like a lot of that stuff is subsidized. It's not paying for itself that well.
I don't understand why these guys would be so interested in nuclear energy. Like,
well, nuclear also has the benefit of like places like Hawaii where they have like a substantial solar grid, like plugged into the regular grid. We get so much more power like throughout the day that like the grid doesn't really handle it very well, and they have a lot of other issues with those like ramping up and ramping down and storage. But nuclear, you can pretty much just, when you need more, you can raise it up and produce more. When you need less, you can let it down. It's much more efficient that way as far as control goes. And you don't have to have like battery storage, or you don't have to come up with some other novel energy storage system.
Yeah, if they could make it more like available, then I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, safety is the biggest concern, but it does sound like they've made a lot of progress in the design quality.
Yeah, because like I was reading some articles, and they were talking about how like the need for clean energy, or like, you know, nuclear energy is like really high, but like you're not getting nearly enough reactors built to like meet
so there's some like even if they start doing this, there's people who are like, well, you're still not going to meet like a lot of the carbon deadlines you said or whatever and all this stuff. Because I mean, it takes time to build a system that big, and you know, they figure this one plant's going to be like $1 billion project. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely not like an overnight solution.
Man, when Bill Gates, like, you know, he recently got divorced.
Oh, right.
And like in the wake of that, like all my like, you know, Republican family members like were putting that picture of like, you know, Bill Gates next to Jeffrey Epstein, like and being like, oh, he's probably a pedophile or whatever, you know, all that kind of shit. But I'm like, there was famously like those pictures of Trump and Epstein. Were those not like?
It's like that's not the same connection. The thing is, like, it's hard to say a lot because, like, if you're rich and famous, like, you're rubbing elbows with people, and like, a lot of large numbers. Some of them are going to be epic pieces of shit. Yeah, like it's going to happen.
I mean, I'm sure tons of famous people have pictures with, you know, what's his name, Harvey Weinstein or whatever. Like, yeah, if you're in those circles, you're going to bump elbows with some pieces of shit, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, your story, your TikTok story about the dry scoop challenge, it reminded me of this other story I came across. So basically, TikTok is just encouraging people to do stupid things.
Yeah.
And this also has a local connection as well. 13-year-old hospitalized after setting herself on fire attempting a TikTok stunt.
That's not good. 13. Man.
You really shouldn't attempt something just because you saw someone do it on the internet. The all too real chances are that something could go horribly, horribly wrong. And a grim reminder of that fact, a 13-year-old Destiny Crane from Portland, Oregon, was rushed to intensive care unit. She accidentally set herself on fire attempting to recreate a stunt she saw on TikTok. On May 13th, Destiny's mother, Kimberly Crane, was chatting with her mother in the Crane's living room. Her daughter, together with one of her friends, was doing something in the bathroom. Suddenly, there was screaming. Kimberly rushed to the bathroom to witness one of the most horrendous sights of her life. Everything was on fire. Destiny was on fire. Things in the bathroom were on fire, she said. It was unreal, heartbreaking. I don't think anyone wants to see their daughter on fire. It was horrible, Crane added. Mrs. Crane pulled the daughter outside and managed to wrangle off her still burning shirt. Meanwhile, a neighbor called 911 for help. Emergency responders from Portland Fire and Rescue sped Destiny to the hospital. She survived, but not unscathed. The girl suffered serious burns to her neck and right arm. Doctors have performed a tracheotomy on her and are now grafting skins onto her burnt areas. Despite it all, it will most likely be months before Destiny regains mobility in her neck, arms, and fingers. That is just going to be a lifelong thing of her doing physical therapy to keep her mobility, Mrs. Crane said. So how did this all happen? Destiny hasn't been able to speak since the accident, but it's pretty clear how the events proceeded. First clue comes from Destiny's sister, Andrea. She said that Destiny's friend kept screaming about how they were filming TikToks while Destiny was on fire. Secondly, there was some items in the bathroom that clarify the situation further. There was a cap bottle of rubbing alcohol sitting on the counter, and the whole side of it had been busted open, and there was a lighter and broken candle, Andrea said. Then there was Destiny's phone on which she had been recording a video. The recording never stopped even as the bottle of alcohol exploded in the poorly ventilated bathroom. Finally, Miss Crane said that her daughter lived for TikTok. Miss Crane and Andrea concluded that Destiny and her friend had been trying to recreate a TikTok video that had been making rounds lately. In it, a man sprays a figure on a bathroom mirror with hairspray before lighting it on fire. Before anyone gets on their high horse, we'd like to point out that TikTok's minimum user age is 13. Destiny wasn't violating the platform's terms of service. Despite that, Mrs. Crane and Andrea now feel that they should have been paying more attention to Destiny's online hobbies. Like they say, hindsight is 2020. It goes on a little bit, but yeah, basically it talks about how, other things have happened. People, doing TikTok stunts and getting fucked up. But I just thought I'd do that one just because he brought up TikTok earlier, and that one has a Portland connection as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what TikTok is doing. Like, there's a lot of trends on there that people are following.
Like, when an adult does it, I'm just like, oh, and, Darwin Award. No problem there. But 13, I'm like, I don't feel great about that.
As someone who, doesn't use social media a ton, like we're on Twitter, but I don't do a ton on there. I was always wondering, like when Instagram came along, for instance, it was super successful, but I was like, really a thing that's just like Twitter, but more for pictures, I guess? Because you can post pictures on Twitter, but I always wondered what makes Instagram that much better? I don't know.
I haven't really used it.
I've never.
Yeah, I don't use Instagram. I think it's just for hot pictures of girls. People use Instagram. They follow each other and they just look at pictures.
All right, you convinced me. I'll join. Now you're on. You have a TikTok account.
I have a
right?
TikTok. Yeah.
Man, what are the majority of the videos you watch on there? Because my only connection to TikTok is I watch Your Mom's House all the time, and they basically just find the worst TikTok videos they can find on there.
TikTok is all over the place, man. You'll find in one video a guy putting rubber bands around a watermelon to see if it explodes at some point, and then another video they'll talk about racism. Another video they'll talk about my dog just died of cancer, and then you'll be like, oh damn. And then another video will be a girl dancing. Another video will be a woman with huge boobs. Hey, do you like me? It's all kinds of stuff, man.
Just
TikTok,
a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, it's nuts.
You ever post on there, or you just watch?
I say stuff, comment and stuff. I'll be
I see.
oh well, that's fun, just little stuff. I haven't posted a video yet, but there is a feature in there where you can
see if you can get on Your Mom's House.
Yeah, no way.
And plug the show if you can.
There's a feature on there where you could put up pictures of other people and see which one you fit into the most. And I did that with the Avengers cast, and I looked most like Chadwick Boseman. I was like, I might post that.
Trying to think of an insulting character.
Well, Spider-Man's friend. He's kind of like a chubby guy.
Nebulon 7.
It was like, he's not totally white. Chadwick Boseman.
I was all happy and everything. I was like, if I posted that, people were gonna be like, damn well you don't look like Chadwick Boseman. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I feel if I took that, I would get something terrible.
I remember Roman took one, on Facebook. Is who do you most look like? And it turned out to be my mom.
She looked like your mom. Oh, man.
Oh, this is awful.
You're I knew there was a reason we got divorced.
Well, they say guys always want a woman who kind of reminds them of their mother.
That one was embarrassing.
Oh, here it goes. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we're back around to you, AJ.
Yep. All right. A Russian pilot is under investigation after a man was duct taped to the underside of a plane and flown above an airfield. Yeah, I didn't know that was possible.
That just sounds like a boys' night out.
The stunt was concocted by Mikhail Litvin, 21, a notorious internet star in Russia with around 20 million followers on social media. In the shocking footage, his friend Zeka Nemitov, 25, can be seen hanging high above the group from the bottom of a plane held on by tape. Although there appears to be a more stable support around his midriff in the video, the rest of his body is secured by normal gaffer tape, whatever that is. The nerveless daredevil made it to the ground safely and even remarked that the view was beautiful while still up in the air. Egging his accomplices on, Litvin can be heard saying, "Go on, brother, we live only once and need to remember this moment." But the prank has landed pilot Alexander Nazarov, 31, in hot water with the authorities. The ex-military airman is being probed by the Russian investigative committee and has had his flying license suspended. The pilot, acting on the instructions of the blogger, allowed the participants in the video to attach the man to the lower part of the helicopter fuselage with adhesive tape. He flew in a way that did not meet safety requirements, putting the life and health of the hero of the pilot. That's weird. Health of the hero of the pilot in danger. The Nemitov claimed afterwards there were hidden safety measures. I mean, let's see. The social media star set his own 130,000-pound Mercedes coupe on fire in his last video. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess he should be punished. You shouldn't let people duct tape themselves to the bottom of your plane or helicopter. So yeah, that was wrong.
I feel like if you're doing it of your own volition.
Yeah, that's what I think too. If the guy's an adult and he did it as his own, yeah, he's
good job on getting those likes and views.
yeah. I don't know. That seems like just a Darwin award.
I think that Steve-O guy from Jackass, like, he recently did a thing where, like, I want to say he, like, duct taped himself either to a side of a truck or, like, a side of a billboard that was on a truck and was, like, driving him around or something to promote something he was doing, you know.
I don't trust duct tape enough for that. Especially on my big ass. I don't think it'd work. Yeah, I saw him get beat up by Holly Holmes.
If I saw someone taped to a billboard, I'd be half tempted to just go beat them up just because they can't do anything. Hey, Steve-O, nut shot. Have a good one, buddy.
Throwing eggs at their face.
Yeah, throw shit at them.
Yeah.
All right, manifesto.
I'm done. Empty. Kaputs.
Well, we're about at time, but do you want to do maybe a couple random conversation cards to kind of...
Let's mingle. If there was a zombie apocalypse, which 4 friends... Oh, I don't. Do any of us have 4 friends? All right. Next.
Sadly, I don't think so.
We're up to 3. If you could bring back one person from history, who would you bring back to life? Why? I think I'd have to go with like an Einstein. Somebody who's going to make a difference. Newton, Gauss.
Yeah.
Someone smart.
See, it's a tough one because on one hand, you're tempted to bring someone back that died like a long time ago, like maybe a founding father or something, and be like, hey, what do you think about politics today? Like, is this what you intended when you wrote do you like the filibuster and how it's abused and everything? Like, that kind of shit?
All these kids would be like, fuck Thomas Jefferson.
Probably.
That's true. They'd be like, people don't remember me the same as I used to be.
But then again, there's like a lot of people that kind of like died tragically that you might just want to bring back because it's like fucked up or something.
Well, I mean, there's always like a family member or something, I'm sure.
Well,
you're like, I'd bring back my dog.
I mean, yeah, the truth is most people just bring back a family member. Yeah. But like, even if he kept it in the realm of famous people, like I would maybe like I don't know. Maybe bring back like Owen Hart or someone that like, died tragically. You know,
Not like Epstein or something.
not Epstein.
I need to know the truth.
Oh yeah, you bring him back. How did you die?
And
Then you kill him. Good to know. I needed to know. And now I have closure.
You go back where you belong.
Okay, we got to do at least one more. Let's see here. I don't like that one. Jeez.
That one sucks too.
Yeah, that one's hard. Okay, if you could make up a new holiday, what would it be and what would you call it?
I don't know, the pagan ones where you just like celebrate like a sex god. I think that's like in the right direction.
Oh yeah, what's the god of like orgies?
Easter.
What's the god of orgies? Dionysus or whatever.
Dionysus is what. Yeah.
It could be Dionysus Day that turns into Dionysus Week. As long as you get off work paid, it's a good holiday.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not enough like drunk sex holidays.
Yeah.
Drunk sex is the worst sex.
That's yeah.
It's so gross.
It's like let's have sex and then get drunk.
Yeah, that's better.
But what if it's sex you don't want to remember?
The only sex I can get.
I know Tom Segura said like when he was younger, like he got drunk and he woke up next to his friend's gross aunt.
Oh no.
That's tough.
Well, it's not going to end any better than that. So should we wrap this
Let's
up?
do
Yes.
it. Let's cut it out.
Well, a minute ago we were talking about social media. So, guys, where can people follow you on the Twitters?
I am a name for this, or I am at a name for this too. Number 2.
Doesn't sound like you're super confident in that answer.
At a name for this too. The number 2.
At I burned my nuts for this. At unsolicited SUG.
And you can find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. Oh, do you want to give people your TikTok handle?
My TikTok handle. Oh, I don't even know what that is. I'll find out.
All right. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys for listening. If you did like us, give us a thumbs up, comments. We always like to hear from you guys. And please tell other people about it or share some of our YouTube clips or just tell people, hey, check out this podcast. It was fun. Also, positive reviews on the podcast feeds and all that sort of good stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.